Okay, we're all set. Hi, how are you? I hope you can hear me okay. Let's see, what do we got going on? Well, let's start off. My name's Christopher. I like to make pictures and stories and tell, make pictures and words and tell stories with them and yeah, have fun. So, it's been a good day. Busy day in the studio, getting some things done here. I got a whole bunch of different things in the mix at the moment. But I thought I thoughted there that I might show you today's page. Hi Yolanda, how are you? Welcome aboard. Yeah, I've been hiding. Okay, so I've put up on the screen the story that I did yesterday. So I sat down and I jelly print about 80 surfaces all said and done. Well, it was about 70 some odd, but I had some left over from Yolanda. And in addition to that, I prepared a whole bunch of 11 by 17 sheets that I've been merging together. Well, I'll show you in a second. And into large surfaces to work on. So I can, because I'm doing some commissions that are 20 by 30, 30 by 40, things like that. So, well, I'll just show you now. Why make you wait? So, so in the studio here, I have this wall space, and what's in front of it is a sheet of plastic and a stack of additional pages for me to put together into these large mosaic surfaces that I have these commissions to do on top of. And it's just stencils. But yeah, so I've got all kinds of surfaces to print on here, but this stack is all of the jelly plated images that I made. And so the idea behind all of this is that to have a bunch of things just ready to go. Hi, Susanna. So, with that in mind, there's the original art, but there's the first one-page story that I made from that. And yeah, I hope people like it. It's about science or dancing. It's all how you look at it. So what I've done with this one is I took. This is what I did is I printed off the detritus off of the surface of this jelly plated. And so that's why you see the large orange area the way it is. Little bit of beveling on the edge. But inside that, I did a brayer off of green in the center there, and I smudged a bit. And as soon as I did that, I saw a tree. So amongst this big stack of things, one thing I knew out of all of these jelly plated surfaces that I made is that I see a tree in this one. And then there was a second one that I saw a tree in. I don't know where that one is. It's someplace in the stack. I got to turn things around and look at them from different angles to see where there's a tree in another one of those, but it's in the center of a page. So it's just some of those fun little accidents that happen as we're doing something else, then we discover, something that we would have missed otherwise. So I just knew right away that I wanted to have that on this page. And so this is a fun and silly page about doing the hokey pokey. So there you go. So if you know what the suggestion is, and that's why I put the suggestions in the errata that's underneath the posts of who the suggestion came from and what the suggestion was, is because when you know that this page, the suggestion was, can you do a story about the hokey pokey dance? Well, this is this is how that filters through my lens. So there you go. And if you look at the chalkboard and see the different things that are drawn on there, there's the hokey pokey dance for you. All right, so I've got another surface. I'll kick the overhead on. So I've got another surface prepared here, and so as I'm looking at the surface, I'm finding things. And what I mean by finding things, yeah, what do you mean by that, Chris? I saw a tree. There was just a black, or I'm sorry, a blue slash, just a blue line through here, which in my head became a tree. This random, I don't know what it was supposed to be, but I saw a cave, and the darker white areas that are up here in these doors, those darker white areas, except for the handles, were there. But in my head, I saw doors for some reason, and this, this suggestion that I'm working from for this is different types of perception. So what I thought in my head was having these three rather disparate elements coming together: tree of knowledge, doors of perception, and the illuminative cave. So right off the hop, the narrative starts bringing itself together. And and so my intention was, with this next panel through here, is to draw somebody going, thumbs up. Because I'm complicated like that. So there's another surface. Now I've got, so I'll just grab a wad. So going through all of these suckers, I found that this one, because of the way that the Breyer-off worked, it really kind of gave these three different types of separated values or planes. So in my head, woo, look at that, easy panels. So when I'm doing these one-page stories and I want to break things up in some kind of measured rhythmic panel on a series of panels on the page, what the happy accident for this one is that what I don't have to do is presuppose much or overly consider things, because these are here. And that idea of, you look in something like this, maybe that's a building, there's a little overhang on this part, maybe that's a telephone pole. We start looking for symbols that we identifiably recognize in our world that's around us. And so things like this start to pull out, whether, I don't think it's necessarily an unconscious act. I think it's a conscious need for us to find symbolism and for us to find recognizable imagery and stuff. But right off the hop, that sort of works for me. And it's actually far more clear and distinct in the camera, which is interesting. So there's another one that's pretty much ready to ramba with afterwards. I don't know if I want to do two blue in a oh, you see a Statue of Liberty in here. Where do you see that? That's exciting. See, that's the beautiful thing about how our eyes and our minds work. Yolanda sees a Statue of Liberty in this image. So is it in the center panel? Left panel. Wow, okay. Okay, maybe, yeah, I guess this part here, and holding up the flashlight. Or maybe this is her face here, and this is the, yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that, do I have an idea for today's one-page story? No! I was going to open the book and see what I could find, because that's part of the fun. I've got this one in the works, and this is a suggestion, right? Different types of perception. I think it was. I should have wrote it down. So this I can finish this and do something with it, but this is just a sheet of printer paper. I keep calling it typewriter paper to show my age. It's not intentional. And so this is a Breyer. No, it's not a Breyer-off. This is a print, because it's got that shape, right, of the gelatin plate. So yeah, the center panel is up closer. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's cool. It's there, but then it's closer in this one for the Statue of Liberty image. That's really interesting. I like that a lot. Yeah, so this is a one-page suggestion that I'll probably finish today too. This feels like a flower, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like a flower? Or some kind of nebulous cloud in outer space. You know, because those things are relatable. That's just another page I'm working on something else. So, yeah, we've got... I'll get the book. We'll look for a suggestion. And we'll go from there. Here's another fun surface that I put together by Brayer-off. I did a Brayer-off over top of a little scaling composition that I had for myself for a 2 foot by 3 foot painting that I did. And, you know, this is why I throw away paper. So you can see the sketchbook part that was from the top of the scan. But I just Brayer-offed over top of it, and now it's, I find it a really interesting. Let's start on this surface today. I don't know what we're going to do on it, but we'll do something. By gum, we'll do something. So I got one of my books here. Lots of little books around the studio. Let's see what we can find for a suggestion. This one works. In the jungle, the mighty jungle. That's pretty basic. All right, so yeah, let's just let's finish this sucker. Let's finish this. Why don't we do that? Because I've already got it started. I got a couple of ideas of things that I want to do, and so what? Let me get all this. So if you want to see all the different pages that I printed out with the jelly plating process, then take a look at yesterday's video, because I walked through a whole bunch of them, and maybe that'll scratch that itch for you. I've got, this is bugging me. It's right, hit me in the chin. And I don't know how enjoyable that is. Okay, so this is a tray that I have, and these globs that you see in here, these are Speedball block printing inks, right? And so there's all these tubes of printing ink. And what's really lovely about them is that unlike regular ink, you know, even acrylic inks like these, when you fill, is that on camera? Yeah, can you see those? There we go. So when you fill these reservoirs with that ink, it dries out, and there's no bringing it back to life again. So I see rolling farmland in the green one. Well, we can explore that. I'm good with that. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Well, it is rolling hills in that one. That is what the original image is rolling hills. So that makes sense. Yeah, I've got photos of the piece that I've got the photos of the piece that came from it, but I've put those are on display right now. I'll show you. And if you want to see more of this sketchbook, it's a little one. You know, this is a big sketchbook. So here is the roughs, and it's this photocopied, this piece right here. You see the top of the sketchbook there. I scanned, and I can only scan like this much space at a time, so it would take like 4 scans to get this whole thing. But that's what you're seeing. So you are seeing rolling hills in these quick thumbnails. So just grab a brush and draw it out there quick. So yeah, so that's what you're seeing inside there. Okay, so let's take these inks that I've got going, and let's do something with them in the surface. First off, I want to charge up this white here. And let's put some stars in the most organized way that we possibly can. Here we go, stars. So, so it works. Yeah, and we'll put some more throughout, but you only get little tiny little tinkly stars if you do that with your brush. So hopefully those are picking up for you. This is what I wanted, is that I wanted a blend out from this night sky down into, so, but the panel sort of separates here. That's where I stopped, because this is ballpoint pen over top of the surface to give that deeper blue. Just a ballpoint pen. And then, but I left some of this out here. I'll hold it up so you can see it a little clearer, because for whatever reason, I really like that little destabilization there. So this is me kind of separating images by, you know, having different pieces of complications in those images in different spots. But I'm really sticking to a limited palette on this, clearly. Now the cave, I was just going to put in really loosely, and then we'll pick back out of this in a second the shadows, but we're just going to put in some of these lights to work along with what's already here. So thank everybody for joining in today. You were so talented. Buckets of stars. Oh, there you go. Thanks. That's very nice of you, Yolanda. So I've got some ideas for things to be working on. I've prepped a whole bunch of surfaces now, and I've got a bunch of smaller cardstocks and things like that I'm going to be doing more of these. The facial studies, I think I showed, I don't know if I showed these yesterday. Where are they? Yeah, I think I did. These here, where I'm just playing on bits of cardstock with all these different approaches and different ideas of, yeah, anyways. So, and it's a Stepford, werewolf, so on and so forth. So I'm doing more of those. But I've also got some fun little things I want to try. And so here's one of them now. This is this random little, can you see it? Yeah, stencil that I've found, and I want to incorporate. I found a few of them, and I want to incorporate these. I don't know where these came from. Maybe somebody sent them to. I don't know. But I want to incorporate some of this in here. And so what I thought I'd do is, there it is. I've got this sheet of plastic. Now I've got a few of these, and what I'm doing with them is I'm taking these and I'm doing printing with these. And so I've got a few different rollers and stuff, and I thought I'd take this little household paint roller and have some fun with some of these stencil ideas. So we'll see what comes out of that. It's nice having the studio organized and taking the time to do that. And it's really nice to have this 6x8 wall space to do larger pieces on. I used to exhibit a lot in galleries, and so, you know, here. And the other side of the studio where, you know, Lori has her desk, that's a 4x8 painting over there. And, you know, so you get used to working in certain kinds of ways and certain scales. And I've really gotten away from that in the last so long. You know, and at the same time, I got a picture around here. Oh, there it is. This is a picture of a much smaller painting. I think it's, oh, I wrote the measurements on it. 14 by 18 randomly. And you know, it's so scale is kind of fun to play with. Just throwing a little bit of white gesso down there. Now hopefully it doesn't all get just soaked right up by this thing. Hey, we can use this too. Let's do some of this. All right, let's try a little thing. And then we'll put this little stencil over here and then throw it in. So I'm going to put it right here. See what comes out of it. Move it over a little bit. There we go. Hey, happy noise. Okay, so that's fun. It's a lot of farting around for just that. Now I have to let that dry for a second, but that's fine. So I just like complicated things like that. I don't know how well you can see this little random piece of pattern, but I like those little complications. And the reason that I do is so that, you know, it keeps the eye moving around and finding the reader finding their way, walking through the compositions that we put together for them. And then these random shapes that I'm now going to move right into our little pattern for the cave, and it just sort of incorporates it in, right? That's the secret. Yeah. I have gotten back into the habit of being really messy again, and always having paint on my fingers and hands, and so, you know, so. Okay, so I'm sorry, that moved down. I apologize. So let's come in here now and start pulling together some of these shapes. I might use an old green pen in a second because it comes out really dark in this regard, so I might incorporate that in here to get some nice dark blacks in there. But there's the opening of our cave. The cave. This sort of does its own little breakaway thing for the panel, which is really kind of nice. By having this random cut shape in here, I just put a little flat line along the bottom, and it separates this panel to panel, and then whatever I put down underneath. We haven't decided yet, you know. So here's the start of our cave space, and I'm going to come in. See, I wrote old. these are the kind of notes I give myself. So putting this green in here I think might be interesting. There's a little bit of green in the top part of this page from the print, and so that I was thinking about that, and I'm like, well, that gives me license to tie some more in, you know, make it uniform like the kids do. No idea. Cave space equals art room. There you go. Yeah, my studio is in the downstairs in our house, and I mean it's a good size space, but I've got one window in here, and I open it up sometimes, but I tend to not have it open all of the time. I like the controlled lighting down here, and I'm very used to working in darker rooms as well, because for the longest time, while my kids were growing up, I would work at night when everybody's in bed. So you can't have all the lights on in the house when you've got, trying to keep young people asleep. But, they're all adults now. Bom, bom, bom. There's a white pencil. Let's see if he comes. Yeah, he's going to show up in here. So now we can start adding in a little bit of interesting shapes and start to flesh out our cave a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm sorry I've been away, folks. Between jobs and my health was kind of blah for a little bit. I get a reduced immune system, so I got colds, and they just But we're back. We're back to make a mess. So here's our cave coming together. I like drawing caves. But I like simplicity in those. Like, I'll show you. I've got a sketchbook here. Oh, wow, that was fortunate. I opened right to the page. So this is, Yolanda says, hope you're feeling better now. I am, thank you. So this is, I sketch all the time, right? And so this is a sketchbook I carry around. But this is a drawing of a cave. And it's the same kind of, this is why I saw a cave when I saw that, by the way. But I try to keep it simple, the shapes, right? And let those sort of, let the viewer fill it all in, right? My carpet's rolled up on my floor. It's probably because it keeps sliding back and forth across it right now. There we go. So that's the sort of thing I'm trying to pick out of here. And it works in a kind of in a strange way that it's a night scene, so I get to put this high contrast shadow in the center of it, which is nice. But I'm going to put some shapes in there to give a sense of depth. Right? Let me see if that appears easier. I hold that up. So I'm putting some of these little bits of marks in there to give you a sense of depth. Like the cool kids do. Yeah. One of the things I really like about the Gelli plate printing is that there's so many interesting textures that come through. And it's got a lot to do with, it's not a solid value. It's not a solid piece of color. It's really granulated, and I like that. I like it because it just sort of gives a little something more to it. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to push this blue back a little bit. I got blue in here? Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to push this, or the white back, I'm sorry, with some blue. I mean, those marks are still in there. It's just make them work for us. Break them up a little bit more. So I kind of like the idea, the whole working its way into this pattern, into this panel. And to have somebody thumbs up, right, in this panel, it just, this is their shirt, you know what I mean? Like, it could be something like that. We could, have I got any more? I've got some paint still here. Let's see if we can add a little bit more. What's buzzing? Something's buzzing. In here. Just to take that up a little bit farther. See? Look at this. Look at the pattern fingers. Huh? Yeah, so when I start drawing a person and now we got a pattern in their shirt, I like stuff like that. I'm a very simple guy. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lighten up down here so that there's a little more transition in our sky from dark down into this lightened space. This is another one of those situations where, because of this darker value that came across here and the lighter value there, okay, great, there's a horizon, right? It's the same sort of a thing that came along when I did, this page, because at the top of this page, there's this destabilized, hatchy little bit of, it's not like a solid, clean line. It's like, there's where the roller stopped and I pulled it up, and so it has these little tiny bristly type bits. But that just sort of immediately says horizon line. And I like that there's a slope in it, like it's a hill. Makes it more interesting than where it's just flat. And then I implied a border to it on an unconscious level by starting this frame here, and then having this top value kick in there. It works well with that orange in here, so that it almost feels like it's a separate. That's the silly nonsense that goes through my noggin. To the right of the doors, it almost looks like a spider crawling around a corner. To the right of the doors. Let me look at it in the camera. Would this be the spider? Or is something dark in here, the spider? Is his name Boris? Boris the spider. Anyhow. Yes. Okay, so this is the spider. It's kind of interesting. I like that. All right, so I'm going to continue with the thumbs up idea. I don't know why. I really want to draw somebody giving a thumbs up. I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll go in dark over light, and we'll pull together their shoulder line, and down here will be where the thumb is up. We'll put the hand in here with this light space so that this really does start to, and we can fill this out in this area as we go, so that this is where the shirt is. So here's our thumb coming in. I don't know if the page that I did today, if anybody is going to get that that's about the hokey pokey. I really don't. But that's part of the fun. Like that's really kind of where the fun lies, is that, does anybody think as strangely as I do? Where did I put that? There you are. So I'm going to now I've got Boris the Spider by John Entwistle going through my head. See him crawling up the wall. Watch. YouTube's going to be like, don't you see John Entwistle? And now, hopefully that's making a little more sense. Let's put the white. Let's pick that thumb out. And then we'll pick out the hand a little bit more. Start to fill that in. All right. So, here's our guy. I'm going to lower this line here. What's that tell me? I don't know what to tell me. so that we're going to start putting his shoulder in like so. So now this is more and more becoming his t-shirt. I don't want this to connect to this. I don't want it to. And then we'll have our collar in here. Put his lapels there. Does it make any sense to anybody, or is it might just he's photobombing the cave with a thumbs up? Okay, there, big giant thumb. I'm gonna start a production company and name it that. Big giant pan. Oh no, well, big giant thumb. Because what I'm thinking of is Dave Letterman's Worldwide Pads. That's what he called his publishing, his producing company. It's always made me laugh. Okay, so yeah, this sort of does this fun little, take that piece out there. So now we're just separating out some of these sections one from the next. But this blend through here, I like. I want to keep it. I like it. And a really cool thing happened. I did a page last year about Molly Shannon, the comedian. She has this character that always made me laugh. I think her character's name is, I think it's Doris. I'm trying to remember. And she'd always like, I like to stretch and kick and kick. I'm 50. And she'd, every time this character would show up, she'd do this outlandish moves. And it just made me laugh so hard. I think the suggestion for the page was something like, celebrating middle age or something like that. And this is the first thing I thought of was that character. But they reached out to me, their people, Molly Shannon's people, and said, hey, can we do something with this? I'm like, yeah, go for it. Good on you there, bud. Have a good one. Because it was done out of appreciation, right? So, of course, you want, that's nice that, I don't know how they found it, but maybe she's turning 50. So I'm going to continue this pattern in here as well, but let's get some more of this character drawn in here. So this is the waistline I've got going down here now. But I'm going to use our blue ink here. And I'm trying to find out what, there's this. Yeah, see, I'm trying to reproduce this over here as it goes down below. Okay, so there's, oh, I see where it is now. So this comes this way, and then this one comes this way. It doesn't have to be perfect. Who would know? So there's the start. See, I'm looking at this part right here. And then there's just continuing that pattern up there. And then we'll do another one of these patterns right here in the shirt. As we've got up above there. And we'll carry that over. It doesn't look perfect, but it's the idea of it, right? Our eyes fill in those patterns. We don't have to do them absolutely perfect, because the viewer, it's always nice to make them do some work. Why? Because I'm mean like that. Get to work, Billy. Hi, Liz. Oh, Yolanda says, I'm 50. I can kick, I can stretch, and I can kick. That's what she says. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I kept doing that on vacation with my hubby. I'm 58 though. Hi, Liz. Welcome aboard. Um, yeah, that's such a great character. Of course, her best character in my mind is always going to be Mary Catherine. Um, and it's not, it's her little soliloquies that she would do. And they're always so random. Like she'd pick these little soliloquies, these little speeches from characters in film that she like. This is a speech by Sir Anthony Hopkins, and it's just like the most random bit of dialogue that has no context whatsoever to the scene that she's in. I love that, and I love her most awkward moment of sometimes I take my hands and I stick them up under my armpits and then I smell them. Like, oh, that's disgusting. It's like, what is wrong with this girl? Oh, so good. Yeah, I like characters that are interesting like that. It makes for good viewing. I was a weird kid, and so I tend to gravitate. Yeah, surprise. So I tend to gravitate towards the weird characters. So, all right, so we've got this little patterning continuing through here. Nice, complicated little bits of business, and I'm kind of wanting to leave some of this white up above, but I gotta just to keep it nice and interesting and separate. I said I didn't want to touch this, but maybe I should. Okay, so let's put a hit on this kid. Poor kid ain't got no hit on. So maybe it's easier if I do it in white. Give him a big smile. Just run our way through the top. Give him some nice full cheeks. I don't know if you can see these or not. Oh yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I forgot about that. Poor kid being attacked by a giant spider. Hiya, Linda. How you doing? Hiya, Tim. Um, yeah, the poor kid. Well, the spider's going to disappear a little bit more as we go here. But hopefully you're able to see this face a little more clearly coming in now. So we've got here's his nose, and we'll put his mouth in there. I do this thing, I don't know if anybody else does this. When you're drawing a face and that face is making a certain expression, I start going, as I'm drawing somebody smiling, as I'm drawing somebody mad. It's sympathetic magic, folks. It makes you think like it helps. It's working. So we're just pulling in. He's absorbing the spider. Get in here, spider. Become part of my head. I mean, that's the fun of, a surface like this, is that we're really kind of, it's sort of not dissimilar to carving. Bear with me. It's you pull the form, you pull the subject out of the stone. You chisel away all the errata that gets you to the thing that's inside of there. And when you're working in a mixed media, and you're putting images that are sorting order out of the confusion of the surface that you've got laid out for you, it's not dissimilar from the idea of carving, and you're looking for that structure. You're looking for, that's the wrong end of a pencil to draw with. You're looking for that face that's hidden in the page. And it has a lot to do with you remembering structure of a face and blah, 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 or whatever it is, dump truck, whatever you're drawing. Oh, poor kid's being attacked by a giant spider. The image is behind your big head. Looks like you're giving it a thumbs up. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. There we go. I'm yapping away and you can't even see what I'm doing. I apologize, everybody. I thought of you and included character shadow and fussy cutting, something I've never considered before watching you. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Yeah. Think about in any given moment when we look at an object, right? Like if you've got, we'll just do this oval shape and then you've got, if you look at the shapes on a face and you think about them in this sort of a geometric way, right? Then you start recognizing that one plane sits over another plane, sits over another plane. You know, this is really exaggerated, by the way. But what that sort of helps to inform you is that you have to think about how these things respond to one another. So if this plane is higher than that plane and the light source is coming from up there, then that's going to cast light over here and under here. And if the light's coming from over there, it's going to askew the direction of the shadow so that it goes over here. You know, if you've got this lip sticking out underneath the mouth, it's going to hit some of that shadow there. You're going to see that shadow coming in under the neckline. So, and as you move the light source around and over whatever this object is, whether it's a head or a dump truck, then it's going to do that. Like if we know we have these raised eyebrows, there's going to be cast light underneath there. But if we've got these, you know, eyelids that cover our eyes, those are going to appear a little more clearly. So that's why you see these sort of, you know, and then if you've got the eye underneath there, it just becomes more and more complex as you go. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you're doing that, Liz. Okay, sorry about that, folks. So here's the kid's head coming out of the spider. Now I think I'm going to just use the blue to pull this together a little bit. That blue ink. Just give me a second and we'll... I'm being cheeky. That's why my friends call me Whiskers. Oh, yeah. I got so much charge on my one camera. So I'll probably round out a little over an hour, I think, today. So I want to, now that I've got a sense of the head and how it relates to the body, I want to adjust some things a little bit. Let's give a little more shape into the arm. We'll clean up this white line. So now it's coming down to a side. Let's come in with that blue and give a little more shape to his pants. It's nice to have this little ready-made tray of the inks. I unburied it today in the studio. I was organizing myself a little bit more, and I rediscovered where oh, that's where I put that. So there we go. So now he's coming together a little more clearly. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but using the white to define around our guy here. I'm going to put some hits and highlights in there a little more opaquely. So this is the same kind of practice of what I was just talking about. Here's his bottom lip. Here's his raised cheek over here. Top of his ear. Yeah. So now he's starting to look like a something. There we go. And I'm going to give him his hair still. But I thought I'd cut around. I thought I'd chop his head out. Thanks everyone for giving Christopher a thumbs up. Oh, thanks, Linda. So this is where I'm coming in with this white. And we'll find the character shape there. Shape of his old noggin. This way. Yeah, it's up our spider a little bit, but there we go. That's I just want to blue it out a little bit. Blue it out. Needs more. Being too gentle with it. There we go. Who's the boss? Other than Tony Danza, we're the boss. All right, so here's our thumbs up kid coming together a little bit more. I don't know where, oh, blue pen's in my hand. I don't know where I put the blue pen. So I'm gonna put his next hand in here, down by his hip. And we will run our panel line to be equal to the bottom of the cave. We'll put some folds and like in his pantaloons. So, you know, it's all embedded imagery, putting, you know, it's sort of redundant to put folds in to the clothing, but it's just those sort of little things, right? It helps the reader understand what is going on with that spot. Throwing that green over top of our not quite yet dried blue area. And then, of course, you know, I got to recognize that I'm going to cover half this up, you know, when I'm putting text in too, right? So there's the top of his hair. That's the fun thing about storytelling this way is that, well, we're having fun drawing together this character and these environments and this visual language. It's part of a process. It's only half of the equation. In this case, the other half of the equation being the story. And you know, I'm always of the mindset that some of this is never going to be seen. So on Patreon, this is why I try to show the original art a lot, so that for those that are interested in what's it look like underneath the page, what's the pictures look like without all your dumb story in a way, Chris. And that's where I try to show that. So we're just pulling a little more detail out of his face. Where are we at? Just making sure I'm keeping up with everybody. Okay, so we've got our first 3 panels where we've got our tree of knowledge, doors of perception, cave of illumination, I think is what I define those as. So now we're going to do let's cut up these panels a little more clearly so that it makes more definitive sense to the reader. So I'm going to come tighten up this line. And even if I draw lines on the panels, like if I draw panels on the page and line those up, I will go over them digitally and make them nicer and cleaner because, you know, nobody likes chunky lines. Anyways, so let's take our cave. I'm going to actually use this. This is the Fidenisuke. This is my favorite pen for drawing with, inking with. But this is the white one. And the challenge of the white pen, if you buy these, and I encourage people, but you got to get the vibe of it. These are stains. And so the problem of that being a stain, when you utilize it in your work, it can do interesting things, like this thin little line up top here came from this pen, right? So it does neat things, but the challenge of it is that when I first put the mark down, we're zoomed in here so you can see, see the line? No, because it's a stain. So it has to dry for a second, and then you'll see it start appearing. And so it can be really challenging if you need that immediate result. But it's starting to come through now. But I found that really antagonistic the first time that I used one of these. I was so excited to draw with a white ink Fidenisuke pen, but then to find out that it works this way, I was a little annoyed. So I'm putting it in, fully recognizing that it's going to take a second to appear, but you can see it start appearing here now. This really thin, tight, white little line, because we just want to have this little edge around the cave to pull it from the background. It's that Hoffman-esque push and pull of value, right? Push and pull of color. You can have a large object in blue or black or like a deep brown or whatever it is, but you're not going to see that so well unless you have a corresponding light value in relationship to it. So like a large volume of yellow on this side of a composition and a one-third the size volume of a really deep blue or brown or green or something, they will equate weight-wise equally. And so the same principle works that if you want to pull things forward or backwards, the push and pull of color, if we do this little, see how the white lines appeared now around the edge? So if we do tiny little outlines like that, ideally it should pull the light line value and what's encased inside of it off of the darker value that's there. Sounds good. So, yeah. But this pen is, if you want immediate results, that's not the pen. So it's still working its magic here, but I want to move quicker than this. So I'm coming through now with this Gelli pen. Now I'm not doing a solid line, I'm just touching little spots. And you fill in the solid line, but do you see what happens when that white line's there? And how it separates the two objects from one another? Even though it's a a broken line. There's all this little existing white dashing that's in here already. I'm going to leave that. Let that do the work for me. So there, so that should pull our cave forward off of the environment behind it. See how the dark and the light line that was already on the page there does the same thing. It separates it, but it almost makes it feel like that's a ground in front of the cave. It's weird how that works, isn't it? So where are we at? Okay, just checking my. Okay, so we've got panel 1, panel 2 with all of this data. So let's put. I'm looking for more ruler. Ruler! All right. So let's put a line across this plane right here, and then we'll put our next image below that. I'm trying to work with what the plating process has given me. I'm trying to, or this is a, that's a plated image. So I'm trying to work with what it's giving me, and what it's giving me is this interest. I'll pull back out again. So what it's giving me is this interesting differentiation of values going through here, but it sort of works to separate this from this, and now we've done enough things to start to pull this apart from that. I'm going to darken out that area because it knows what it did. I'm going to do it with this green over top, just so it pulls him off of that background. Be careful, depending on the paper you're working on, it can be really thin. It's easy to punch through. I like with the jelly plated surfaces to leave the outside line as it is. The broken line, the imperfect line, I like that. I have to go. I have a friend coming over. Nice to catch you live, Chris. Very inspiring. Thanks very much, Yolanda. I appreciate that. Thanks very much for coming and joining us. Have a great day. I'm going to get over and watch the Yolanda vids. And if you get a chance, folks, go check out her work. It's brilliant. She's a jelly plate master. Okay, so now we're pushing this. See, the thing over his shoulder is too distracting. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. What was it? It was a, oh yeah, spider. Yolanda thought it looked like a spider. So there. So now we've got it pushed back. Okay, so you can see his outfit hopefully a little more clearly. And we'll deepen up some of this and behind him. So I'm only using white and blue and this green pen as well. I'm wearing my studio pants, so if you see me swiping ink and whatnot on my pants, it's okay. It's to keep me from ruining the nicer clothes that Laurie says, hey, look like a respectable person. Oh, I'll put these on. Okay, so we've got our top two panels finished, and we've laid out our bottom panel. I'm just going to go, after letting this white line dry, I'm just going to go through and put a black or a dark line up inside of it. There we go. So that's made a clear definition, a delineation between the two. I'm going to want to fill this in as well. so it doesn't interfere with whatever we do in this panel down below. Yeah, okay, so we've got a bunch of different elements in now. Some more interesting shape complexity in here. Break up this continued line that's at the base of the tree in that section there, and then we'll figure something out here. But yeah, so we've got one. Are we in print? There we go. So we got one talking about the the doors of perception, which is what the Doors named their band after. Tree of knowledge and cave of illumination. All these things to make us smarter. And then this guy can say, "You betcha." Because that's the way my brain works. So I think that having a character that's going to be sort of, mind blown type of a aesthetic might be fun to put. Like that's what I did with the last page. Is that I did the scientist in the center as he's talking about the hokey pokey. Going whoa with his hands. Can you see that in the frame? Yeah. So, yeah, we'll do some of that business in here. All right, so let's do this face into this section here. I'm using different objects underneath here to push the image up, so I hope people can see it okay. Are we in frame? Yeah. All right, so lost my shoe. All right, let's so I'll do this again with white. I'll come in and I'll make them go whoa. I'm looking for my sharpener here. There it is. All right, so I'm just going to draw his, let's center him out a little bit more. So we're just going to draw this guy in with his expanding consciousness. So hopefully you can see this okay. And it might not make a lot of sense at the start, but I'll try to use both negative and positive at the same time so that as I go along. So that it just doesn't look like a whole bunch of white guka. That's an eye. I don't know if you can tell if that's an eye yet, but this is an eye. Here. Let's make it an eye for you. And then we'll highlight it up. We'll build it up a little bit too. I hope that if those that are here, if I don't catch you the rest of the week, because I'll be back tomorrow again, but I hope people have Happy Mother's Day or Happy Excuse to Have Cake Day if people aren't mothers. And I'm not a mother, Chris. I'm a dude. Have some cake. So, yeah, so now we're putting in his mind getting blown. So hopefully you can see that eye now. Yeah, I think so. I have to look over at that camera to see the screen. So now we're going to carry over into the center of his gob, and I guess not his gob. Gobsmack, that means your mouth is closed, so gob must mean mouth. All right, but we're going to put his other eye in over here. I think that's too high. By gum, I think that's too high. What am I doing? And then I put a line higher. I meant like the eyebrow was too high. See, that's what I meant to do. Good reason to have cake. Yep. I'm under strict orders that I'm not to organize anything with our kids for Mother's Day. All right, I said, don't you go out and do things and they can do things. So I said, yes, dear. And I crossed my fingers behind my back. Hopefully she's not watching right now. Probably not, she's busy. So here's the other eye coming in now. And we'll beef up certain spots again and a little more emphasis on certain areas. There's the other eye coming in. So there's the start of his whoa face. I don't know. See, there's a part of me that rather than having the character say, you know, my mind is expanded. Trying to make this shrinkity. There we go. Now you can see the eyes better, hopefully. I think it's funnier to have a character say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because that's just funnier to me. I like things like that more so than, you know, it's just the continuance of the idea that, you know, this person, of course, I agree with that. I concur entirely. Nah. It's more fun to have somebody give some drawn out explanation about something and have somebody else go, whatever you just said. Makes it more interesting. Like I like when people give somebody a complicated explanation in a show, and so the other person says, "All right, I'll do that I'll remember that on the day." And the other person goes, "It is the day." I love that. Yeah, that's just a white pencil crayon. Sorry, I should have told you guys that. Yeah, there's a white pencil and a green ballpoint pen. That's what I'm using right now. And I'm holding the pencil rather randomly, I know, but, you know, sometimes you get up into these weird things. Because I'm working larger, I'm finding that just holding the pencil different ways makes it far easier to be more gestural and to use your whole arm. And that's clearly carrying over to working on smaller things like this. So we're going to clean it up, get rid of some of these hatchy pencil marks. And as we make his consciousness expand. And I don't know what I'll do with that yet. We might find some interesting way to go about illustrating that. I don't know quite yet. But what I do know is I like dancing. All right. So I'm not necessarily drawing in the dark values immediately because, you know, I'll pick those out as we go through. Like I know that there's solid shadow at the nose, so let's really emphasize that right now. But it's good to let the color of the paper work its magic for us. What are we at? Oh, okay. I'll just get the structure of this face in, and then I'll tighten it up later on. Because my one camera is about to say, you know what? I need a holiday. I need to recharge. See what I did there? So here's the, so let's get the bottom lip in. Wow! So there's his expression coming through now. So hopefully you can see that. Whoa! Yeah, and we'll just expand it out and give him ears. Put those out on the side of his head, like we had up in the top panel. Just carry that over. Woo! There we are. Okay, so there's the remaining structure of our page. So yeah, so here's today's one-page story. Yeah, if you've got, so here's the thing. If you don't have the jelly plate and that whole process and yada, 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 because, you know, you got to get a jelly plate or you can make them at home. I don't know how well that works. I know that I don't have the facility for it, but there are recipes out there for how you can make your own gelatin plate to print from. Or you can just take a small roller, like a paint roller, and run it on some paper. And it gives you this fantastic bit of business to start working on. So it doesn't have to be this elaborate, intricate image. Just take some paint, charge it up on their roller, and start rolling paint on different pieces of paper. And allow the imperfections to stand. Don't go for a consistent flat black, like flat value. Allow the imperfections to stand, because it's those imperfections, like, whoops, that's off, like these, that make for lots of fun and interesting things that we can utilize in our drawing. So, okay, all right, that's about it for me today, folks. And whoa, what's happening? There you go. My camera was freaking out. So yeah, so there we go. So there's the start of our page. I'll get this all finished up, and the text applied to it, and get it posted for tomorrow morning. And I'll be back tomorrow at 2. I don't know what day it is. I think it's Wednesday, maybe Thursday. But I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST. And if there's anything that people want me to work on, like if you have a suggestion for a one-page story idea, feel free to put it in the comments. If there's any material or any medium that you would like to see me do something with, let me know, and I will. I got no problem with that. Okay, that's it for me today. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye for now. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, the big stretch. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.